Sing me a song, little lady. Hey guys, welcome back to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. So today we're going to be reviewing Still Austin's Cask Strength Bourbon Whiskey. Now this one comes in at 118 proof. The mash bill on this guy is 70% white corn, 25% rye, and 5% malted barley. The company actually reached out to Nancy the Nose Fraley to come and select some barrels that could be blended together to create this batch. It's aged for a minimum of at least 2 years, it states on the back. I did try their regular expression earlier on this year and really enjoyed it. So looking forward to getting to this one, guys. So without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the color on this one. Definitely a little bit darker than their normal expression. Obviously, it's at cask strength, so it is going to be a little bit darker. They both state that they're aged for at least 2 years, though, on the bottle. I mean, fairly nice, legs on it. Not anything crazy oily. Maybe a light amber color, light copper. Now, let's get into the nose. So, interesting. So, one of the first things that I get hit by is like this brown sugar and cinnamon burst. But further into the glass, I pick up this green apple. Like there's a green apple note to it. Almost a little bit of like sour, almost like a sour note. You get some caramel and vanilla in there as well. Kind of just like very subtle. Definitely a lot of, like I said, like brown sugar. Some like a lot of cinnamon on this one. And there's a like a sour, like a green apple note to it on the nose. Maybe like some toffee, like a toffee sweetness. Pick up like a little bit of a darker fruit note in there. I can't really quite pick out what it is. Definitely further into the glass. Really nice nose though. Let's get into the palate, guys. Cheers. Yeah, so definitely an amped up version of their standard release. This one, you still get a little bit of those youthful notes, like on the front of the palate. Middle of the palate, I get this like that cinnamon kind of plays off with some char that goes like into the middle of the palate. Into the finish, picking up a lot of nutmeg on the first sip. Definitely baking spice forward on this one. Like I said, a little bit of that, a little bit of char, maybe a little bit of oakiness across the middle of the palate. Very interesting first sip on this one, guys. Let's get into the second sip. So that's it. That sip was a little different. On the front of the palate, there's still like a little bit of that, like toffee sweetness. I'm picking up a lot more herbal notes now on the front of the palate. Middle of the palate, still a lot of cinnamon. That char, that little bit of oakiness still kind of sitting there into the middle of the palate. Doesn't really follow through into the finish though. On the finish, it's more of a nutmeg. There is still some of those like youthful notes, almost like a little bit of graininess. I don't know the true age on this. It says it's aged for at least 2 years. So, I mean, being 2 years, you're gonna pick up those grains on the palate. but it's not in a bad way. There's a lot of flavor. There's a lot of flavor to this. I'm very surprised. The finish is actually a medium to long finish. I wasn't expecting that. It's still kind of flowing through. A lot of baking spices, like that nutmeg, really nice nutmeg onto the finish. And now, like after everything's kind of like gone through into the finish, I pick up this almost like a bitterness from like a dark chocolate that goes from like the middle of the palate into the back. Plays along with that char and that oak. Not too bad. Let's get into the last sip, guys. Cheers. Yeah, I think the proof point on this one is just it's at a perfect proof point. Yeah, some of that toffee sweetness kind of coming through onto the front of the palate. Still a little bit of youthful notes. There's a little bit of clove now that appeared there on the middle of the palate. A little bit of clove, maybe a little bit of nuttiness, like some almond, kind of in the middle. The middle of the palate for me is where the majority of the flavor is coming from. But like the finish, it's between the middle of the palate and into the finish is where you're getting, where this one's a hitter for me. Again, that finish, there's a lot of baking spices, some nutmeg. Middle of the palate into the back is like that bitterness from like a dark chocolate. A little bit of like herbal on the front with that toffee. Again, middle is there's cinnamon, there's that char. It's where that chocolate starts, and then into the finish is just nutmeg. A long finish in nutmeg. There's like a little bit of almond there on the middle of the middle of the palate that goes into the finish as well. Honestly, like this is being the big brother to their standard release. I have to say I'm probably more of a fan of this one, not because it's a higher proof, but I think that the flavors are just a little more amped up than their standard release. But I mean, for being aged at least 2 years, the flavor profile on this, not only on the nose but on the palate, is pretty impressive. I mean, I would go out and buy a bottle of this. To be honest with you, I mean, this is something I could sit down and I think I could really enjoy. Flavors do tend to evolve on this one a little bit. Given some more airtime, they may evolve even further. Definitely a big fan of the Still Austin Cask Strength here, guys. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews, and want to send a big thank you over to the team at Still Austin Whiskey Company and Aaron over at Robro Marketing for supplying me with this bottle to review on the channel. Again, guys, overall thoughts. I do like this version better than their standard release. Nothing wrong at all with their standard release. It was actually a very big surprise for me in 2021. This one, the flavors are just a little more amped up. A little more bold than their standard release. Definitely a fan of this Still Austin here, guys. I think this has a lot to offer. Later on down the road, as it ages, I think it's just going to become, it's just going to get better and better. With age, flavors are going to develop a little bit more. You're going to start to pick up some of those characteristics a little bit more. Definitely another big surprise for me in 2021. So if you guys are looking for more reviews like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty.